We're live. Another day, another restaurant expert roundup. We'll be back in a minute with Aicha, the author of this awesome book. Stay tuned. So, what's going on? How are you?
I am doing great. That's a great introduction. I like that.
Hey, thank you. So I can't take credit. My team did it. I just get to hit the button, which I didn't hit good that time. So tell the audience who you are and about yourself.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Aicha Bascaro. I'm the founder and CEO of the American Franchise Academy. And I've been in the franchise industry for over 30 years now. And we do every day. It's what we help. What we do is we help franchisees implement management systems in their businesses so that they can make lots of profit and grow into multi-unit operators.
Love it. And how I found you was this book. It was on the bookshelf. It's now here. The Franchise Fix. When did you write it and what was the motivation?
Well, you know, one of our clients that I was coaching, he said, Aicha, I just cannot ask you all the questions. Is it possible that you can put it in a book? And so, Philip, if you're out there, you were the one that gave me the idea. And what I started doing is I started putting on a book all the thoughts of the things that the franchisees and business owners needed to implement in their business so that they could be successful. And the book is actually dedicated to Philip, and it's like, teaching him, which now, is been in the hands of hundreds and thousands of business owners, franchise owners, not just franchisees, but independent business owners too, because it's the principles for the management systems of a small brick and mortar business. And so that's why I wrote it. And it's, the tenet of our programs and, a lot of the things that we teach our clients.
Love it. Yeah, I see it now. I see the front page. I hadn't noticed that, but what caught my attention about it, number one, the title, The Franchise Fix. We, the burgers and fries, we deal with restaurants nationwide. And one of the inclinations by a business owner is it is easier to buy a franchise than it is to start from scratch. But one of the negatives that I've seen is that there's not like the franchises are all built identical. There's some franchises you buy that are a marketing beast. You could get a Chick-fil-A location and you open your doors and hello, there you go. But then there's other franchises that have certain systems and procedures in place, but not all of them. And so that's what caught my attention about it, was that I think there's a big gap in the market, that people have an assumption they're going to buy a franchise. I had a friend the other day was buying a franchise, and they made it sound like literally he was going to open his doors and no problems. And I'm like, dude, that's their job. They're selling something. They do have a great product, but you better be prepared. And I recommended your book, but that's what I like about it. So I want to dig into a couple chapters and pages if you don't mind.
Yeah. Before we go there, let me just tell you that, you hit the nail on the head. There is a big, I don't want to say secret, but a big confusion in the marketplace. People think that when you buy a franchise, you buy everything you need to be successful, and that's not the case. Yeah. You are acquiring the rights to duplicate a brand, the product, the service, the image, and even the national and regional marketing of a brand, of a proven brand, right? Most of the time, not always, because not all franchises are created equal. Yeah. What you're not getting, and please understand, what you're not getting is a business degree in franchise management or business management, which is all of the systems you need as a business owner to make the profit. You have the brand that will open the doors and bring you revenue to a certain point. The rest of it, how to make money from it, and even your local store marketing is up to you. They're not going to come and knock the door of your neighbor saying, hey, come buy from me. That's up to you. And so that's what we focus on. But anyways, just want to make sure that, because you're right, it's only part of the business, which is a great part, but it's not everything.
Oh, and it's just like if you go to IKEA and you buy an awesome desk. Well, guess what? You got to put it together, right, but you also got to read the instructions and you got to hope that they filled in every gap, because in the franchise world, there are some gaps. And before I get to the question, one thing I've noticed too is in the restaurant world, you'll get a franchise that, like I'll say Cincinnati, we have a place called La Rosa's, which is a mecca here. It's great pizza. It's an awesome concept. They had a location where somebody opened one in Knoxville, Tennessee. Same great processes, same great food, nobody came because the roses didn't mean anything to anybody down there.
Right. There's no brand awareness. Yep.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of those little gaps in there. So a couple things that I like to do is here, I pull things out of the book that caught my attention. And on page 26, I've got two things circled here. One is create a culture you'd be proud of. And above that, though, is recommended books. So the book part of it that caught my attention is I think as adults, we quit learning. And if you're a restaurant person, there right there's about 100 books that are all about running and operating restaurants. So, yeah, you've got to educate yourself. At our office, we just put up a bookshelf. It's all business books about, getting deeper in your business and understanding things. So I think that's important. But also, like you said, create a culture that you'd be proud of. So talk about creating a culture and educate yourself.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that if they're not present, if they're not the base and the foundation for your business, anything else that we're going to teach you is not going to work. And one of them is you got to create a culture that you're proud of, a culture that motivates and inspires people to do great. The other thing is, are you the leader people are looking for, right? Because if you're not the leader people are looking for and you're not going to be willing to become that, then anything else, I could teach you how to calculate your ideal food costs, how to hire people, how to do inventories, how to figure out your waste and where you can make more money. I can teach you all of that, but it won't do any difference if you don't have a culture in which people want to support you, be loyal to you, and give you that, that additional effort that you need in your business beyond the regular what I pay you for to be able to move the business forward, right? So creating that culture that you're proud of and that your people are proud of belong in is going to be crucial for your organization. And it changes, right? I mean, you have a culture, and what you need to be aware of is that the people that work for you are changing, right? The generations change, the motivations change. And so you need to learn and adjust with that so that it continues to be, a culture that you're proud of and the people want to work on. And so for sure, that's why it's one of the first chapters of the book. Very, very important that you create that. And then once you create that, that's the baseline. Then we look at you, as a leader, and then we look at all the rest of the details. But sure, that is the first thing you got to do.
And I think an easy example people can relate to, a lot of, states here, sports is huge. Everybody has, likes college sports or the Olympics right now. But you look at team sports, you look at cultures. Like I'm in the Cincinnati area. The culture of the Cincinnati Bengals is a joke. That's why every year they do one thing. They lose really well. Whereas you look at other organizations like the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots, for the most part, those teams consistently win because their culture is built a certain way. And another thing you said there, which I can really relate to, is being 45 and having a 17 and a 19-year-old daughter and having employees from 19 to 65. I guess my dad, 74, works with us. You've got to adapt to the different things. Certain people are motivated by certain things, other people aren't, and that changes with generations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And just being aware of it is the first step, obviously, right? And then doing something about it and adjusting things so that everybody feels welcome, everybody feels part of something special. And if you're able to create that, then everything else makes it a lot easier, So
Yep,
not easy, but easier.
Yeah. So the next one, the high price of turnover. I had a friend of mine talking about this one day, and this is about 7-8 years ago. It was the first time I had looked at it this depth, and he was talking about what he does when he's like, Matt, we hire slow and we fire fast. He said, we hire slow because we're very intentful on the person we bring into here. We want to make sure it's the right fit, the right person, because it's expensive to fire somebody because you put a lot of time and effort into training, into the person, into recruitment, into that first month or two. You don't want to have somebody either quit or get fired. So talk about the high price of turnover.
Matt, the high price of turnover is the biggest hidden expense in any business. The biggest. There is no bigger expense. And the thing is, though, that is hidden. You don't really understand what is costing you to lose people. And I disagree a little bit on that hire slow, fire fast. Okay. I believe you should hire slow and fire slow.
Okay.
Because sometimes we pull the trigger before we really should. Sometimes we let people go without even really understanding why they were underperforming.
Yeah.
If we did our job at the beginning, we did hire the right person. Something happened along the way that had their behavior not be what you expected it to be and what you hope for. So it is our job as leaders to figure out what is that, but what happened? What was the thing that made it that this person that we know or demonstrated or in the past, or assuming we did a good interview and onboarding, which is part of what we teach, something happened along the way that had them not perform. And so before we decide that, oh, they're not good enough and throw it out the window, we really need to understand what happened and be able to see we can correct it so that we can save that person. Every person that is in our team right now has a tremendous amount of value. Everybody's understaffed. I mean, there are very few people that out there can say, I have enough people. Like, I don't know anybody. My clients, as well as, and as good a job as they do, there is a staffing crunch right now. And so we need to, and even if we didn't, we still shouldn't just throw people out. I mean, and I'm not saying keep somebody that doesn't belong in your team. Absolutely. But have the systems and the processes in place to be able to find out what happened, what went wrong. Can you correct it? Was it something that you were responsible for? Is a system that was missing? Is it some recognition or something that we failed this person on? Was the team the right place? I mean, something happened. Yep. So we need, as leaders, we are responsible to figure out what it is, because the cost of that person or anybody or turnover is tremendous. It costs you every time you hire. I mean, just the recruiting part, how much money you're spending in advertising, how much money and time you're spending on interviewing and second interviews and deciding whether you're going to hire that person or not. And then you do the background checks. If you're doing it the right way, you're doing that. How much time you're spending, that's time is money. So whoever's doing that work is costing you money. And that's before you even hire them. Yeah. Then you hire them. Now you're spending money on orientation. Then you're spending money on training. And then you're spending money on the waste of your product. That's a lot of money that you don't realize. Then in the time, customer service, product quality, equipment maintenance, you don't even know what could be happening when you have a lot of new people. And in the QSR franchise world, I assume the restaurant's very similar. 100 to 150% turnover is very normal. That means that you're going to lose all your team plus another half in 12 months if you're not doing the right job. So, and every time you do that, it's costing you all of those. And then they say that then, underperformance, right? People don't do a good job. Whatever period of time they're not doing a good job that eventually causes them to be terminated. God forbid they're stealing from you, right? Now, all that is not only costing you whatever is costing you as far as quality and money and customer service, but employee morale. Having somebody underperforming in the team costs you employee morale. Now it's affecting the entire team and their performance. And so because it's so difficult to actually quantify, Matt, how much all this costs, it's amazing how we just don't look at it. Yeah. I would tell you that less than 10% of my clients actually even know what the turnover is. They don't even know what the turnover is. Yeah. And that's one of the key indicators of your business that you must know and literally measure and literally proactively reduce it, because all the time and effort you invest in hiring the people, you should invest just as much in keeping them, because the more tenure you have, the better your business is going to be, the better the performance, the better the service, the better the quality, and the better the profits. At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, right? To make money.
Yep. We're here for profit. And you're right. And another thing within there too is, as you said, understanding maybe where it went wrong versus firing fast, maybe evaluating that you can fix it. But also, I think for understanding the next time you hire somebody, there might have been something you did wrong there that got you to the wrong person. One of the things I did a while back, I've only let go of one person in a long time. It was back last year. And the person had applied for a job, social media management, on their application and all their stuff. And in their interview, owned and operated a restaurant, handled the social media, the email, the texting, the website, all this, right? I'm like, okay, told me a bunch of stuff. Turns out that it was fabricated. And so, I sometimes take people by their word a little too much. And I wouldn't expect somebody to say that. And then we get to a month later into the job and they can't even know how to save a picture on a laptop. Like, what do you mean right click and save? And I'm like, man, my dad's 74 and uses a computer better. What's going on? And came to find out the guy fabricated a lot of stuff, but that was a flaw in our hiring process, right? Investigating versus them.
Right. Projects, give them projects,
Yeah.
mini projects.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely. In that case, I mean, it will be clear that that was the issue, and then maybe in that case, making a decision that doesn't affect your company long term is a smart one. But most of the time, it's not that clear cut, Matt.
yeah.
You know, if people don't come to work on time, there's a reason for it. If people, are not positive and happy, there's a reason for it. And it doesn't mean that you should accept poor behavior, but really look into further than just face value to find out what's going on.
Yeah. And then last but not least, chapter 7 struck a chord with me because mastering your sales, and I'll bulk in there, the advertising efforts that help you get sales is something I'm amazed with. I was talking to a person about a year ago that bought a franchise, was a couple months in and was out of money. And I'm like, you opened a restaurant and 2 months later you're out of money. Like, what did you expect to happen? And we talked through it. And I said, if I was opening a restaurant in a year, I would analyze what money I need to make this thing if it doesn't make any money. But more than anything, I would analyze my sales capacity and my marketing efforts to fill that capacity. So let's talk about mastering your sales from chapter 7.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned, even though it's called the franchise fix, it's really for any business owner. But even if you buy a franchise, you are acquiring, the rights of a brand. And then on top of that, you pay an additional fee, royalties. The royalties pay for the brand, the product, the service, the image. Then you pay an additional fee called a marketing fee, where you're paying for the regional, national marketing. And like I mentioned earlier, nobody's going to come to your neighborhood and knock on people's doors asking them to come and buy from your restaurant. It is up to you, the franchise owner, to then make that happen. So whether it's community involvement, local store, and it's all through local store marketing. And so buying a brand will only get you X amount of sales, right? The moment you open the door, people are going to recognize the brand. It will automatically give them a sense of trust, and they're going to bring you sales. But beyond that baseline sales, how much more you accomplish is completely and 100% up to you. So you got to master your sales. You got to own them and not expect to sit around and have the brand do it for you. Or if you're a restaurant owner, just because you have a cute signage, people are going to show up. They're not. You got to be proactive and get out there in the community, in the social media, and own and take the responsibility and master your sales. Because you're right. One of the things that we teach our clients is how to calculate your break even. Okay, this is your break even. Now, how much profit do you want to make? This much profit. Okay, with the break even, now we figure out, okay, you want to make this much profit? This is the sales that you have to make to make that happen. What are we going to do to get to those sales? And now you got to own it, right? There is a reason why within franchises, within the same brand, there are some franchisees that do 2-3 million, and then some franchisees that do 1 million. And they're having the same brand. The difference is that they own their sales, that you actually have a local store marketing plan that works, that produces results, because you take your history and your ownership, and you figure out what channels work best, what offers work first, what type of activity works best, whether it's more community involvement versus more social media versus, so different things. And so you gotta own them, and you gotta execute, and then follow up and learn from it and re-execute again and learn from it. And, eventually you have a money-making machine. But it takes time and effort, and you got to own it. The first step is you got to own it. Yeah.
And it's the big thing too with what we do on the marketing side. We help restaurants understand their conversion costs. Like, what does it cost for you to get somebody to engage in an email, text, or Facebook post? Then what does it cost to get their data from that action? And then what does it cost to get them to walk in the restaurant? So like one of our clients the other day, we looked at it, was $4.38. Every time they spent $4.38 through us in marketing, it got somebody's information and walked in the restaurant. I said, cool. How many more times can we spend $4.38? What's your goal? And if you know that number, it helps a lot more often. But a lot of people think that they're going to buy a franchise, buy any business, put a sign on the door, and people are going to flock in.
All right. It's like an ATM machine, right? You have to, how many times, if you know that you have an ATM machine, and if you put in $100 and you can get 200 out of the ATM machine, how often would you go to the ATM machine?
I just sit there in the parking lot.
Exactly. So that's your marketing investment, and really an investment in not anything, but many things in your business. You got to put money in, and then if you put it in the right machine, then you're going to get a lot more in return, and then you just keep doing it, and then that's how you achieve your financial goals, right? You just have to figure out what that ATM machine is. Where is it?
Where is it?
And then you can go into that parking lot and just put the money in, and achieve the sales growth that you want to, meet your financial goals, for sure. No, it's one of those things that you got to own.
Yeah, I love it. Excellent information. It's all in the book, and it's all on the website, AmericanFranchiseAcademy.com. Is that the best way for people to reach out to you and your company?
Yeah, absolutely. And if any of you are franchisees or independent business owners that are looking at implementing the business management systems like this, or grow into multi-unit, you got to create the systems. Otherwise, you're going to be a slave to your business. So for us, we are all about making profit and have time and financial freedom. You can go to MultiUnitSuccess.com, and every month we have like an information session on what we teach for those systems. So just go to MultiUnitSuccess.com, and then you're going to be able to join a free information session on how you could become a multi-unit franchisee or implement systems so that you can have time and financial freedom in your business.
So MultiUnitSuccess.com.
That's it.
Cool. And then also in the comments, I put the book link on Amazon. If you buy a book on Amazon, please leave an amazing review after you read it for authors like Aicha. And I appreciate your time today.
Hey, thank you, Matt. Really appreciate. See you guys on the other side. Bye.
Have a good weekend.